Welcome, everyone, to the Tuesday edition of Minions of the Zoo. I'm your keeper, Skep Tock. With me, I have Minions Prospero.
Hello.
The Harry Channel.
Good evening.
Sora Luna.
Good evening.
Lion Press.
I'm actually here.
Yay!
And our dear, quirky, wacky friend, Dr. Functional.
Excellent.
I hope everybody's having a good evening this evening. I was just fact-checking the idea that if you loaded your stomach up with unpopped popcorn kernels and then had yourself cremated, and I just looked up the temperature of crematorium ovens. They're 1,800 to 2,000 degrees. And at least that's the answer that I got, and it's from the internet, so I know it's true. Anyway, I knew it was very high because I watched that deaf person's channel, whatever her name is, and
Ask
what I
them.
think ask a mortician. What I think would happen with the popcorn in your stomach is it would get so hot so fast that it would simply incinerate. That it would
It'd boil in place.
The moisture would come out of there so fast that if it did pop, it would incinerate as it popped.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of sad, but
Adding a lot of energy there, and that's kind of sad for the people who, they'd like to pop a little popcorn in their stomach.
Now a funeral pyre could be a really interesting.
Yeah, that could be a lot more fun.
Yeah.
And
that grandpa went like Jiffy Pop.
yeah, and just
You have a
really,
Viking,
Bring back saute and popcorn.
yeah.
where you like have a Viking funeral and just
Yeah.
out on the boat it explodes in popcorn.
Boom.
I'm not sure your analysis is correct, Skep.
Mm-hmm.
Because think about it for a moment. If you were going to cook a steak under a really if you're going to cook a steak at extremely high temperature, you have a pretty good sense of how long it takes for that heat to penetrate into a big ass steak, right? So
you're saying it would take enough time. Yeah, it would heat.
No,
gradually.
it would take. But think about it. I mean, you've got a big hunk of meat, right?
Yep.
After you render away all the American fat, you've still got meat and bone and stuff to get through. It would be in the stomach contents. Now, it wouldn't be as efficient a heat transfer as submerging it in oil. So the whole thing with the pressure building up in the kernel, I don't know. I would think that maybe the kernels would soften to the point where you wouldn't get the explosion, and you just end up with mush. Well, that then would be incinerated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at 1,800 degrees, you wouldn't be able to notice the transformation.
And for those
You
of
wouldn't be like a
tuning
human
in,
Jiffy
for some
Pop.
popcorn.
for those of
now.
you just tuning into the show, welcome to Minions of the Zoo, where we address the important issues.
That's what we do, Harry. We get the Mexican tinfoil blankets from the southern border. We wrap Sora after she ingests the popcorn and put her in the
A baked
crematorium.
Sora. With
It
popcorn.
might isolate it long enough for her to be human Jiffy Pop.
I don't
That's
know.
that's
I
called
thought
a
we were-
toasty
Thanks
Luna.
for
by the way.
volunteering
Toasty
me,
Luna.
Functional.
Toasty Luna.
A toasty Luna.
I thought we were gonna dig a pit and get some banana leaves and soak them.
I'm a
into
marketing
Kahlua-
genius.
A Kahlua Luna.
Yeah.
Kahlua Luna.
Or a Sora luau.
A Sora
Oh,
Luau.
that I'll go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there we
Bring
go.
a suckling pig and
Kahlua pig is amazing. It is so good. That pit cooked pig. God. Oh, death and pig. Lovely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to be fighting
Is it a
people
long
for the,
one?
Drink, everybody.
I'm going to be fighting people for that first pick, too, because I want at least one of those cheeks, God damn it.
Who gets the apple?
I don't eat vegetables.
Oh, well, okay.
So do you remember Jiffy Pop popcorn, Skep?
Yeah.
Oh yes,
I know you do.
absolutely.
Is
With
that
the-
what
with
you were
the-
thinking of when you were
Yes,
thinking of the? Yeah.
precisely.
So is it sort of like the idea of somebody's about to be electrocuted for crimes against the state or something, and then you just have them hold a bowl of popcorn.
Hey,
I'm giving back.
Right? Or give those pay-per-view numbers up there. People be tuning in. I won't
if
see
you
this.
wouldn't mind holding this, thank you.
Hold this bag, please.
It would be worth the time you'd spend in prison.
Yeah, if
Now
you
bite
shake
down
the
on
kernels
this.
a little bit, it would really help. Oh, never mind. That's going to happen anyway.
Yes, exactly. So, at any rate, in other news, in personal news today, I got my second shot for the COVID vaccination. I got my second Pfizer shot today at the. It actually went fairly smoothly this time, much smoother than the last time. I don't feel anything. A little bit of soreness at the injection site, and absolutely not feeling any somatic symptoms at all.
That's good.
Interesting thing, though, that I get to do is I have one of my grandchildren has to be driven to school for the next couple of weeks, and I have to be at his house at 6:45 to
that's
take him
fun.
to school, and it's like a 30-minute drive because
Holy
he's on kind of parole, you might say, from a special institution, because it's a long story. But anyway, making the long story short, he's a troubled kid, and we're just trying to get him graduated from high school so he can, and he's going to try and go into the Army. So we'll see how that goes. And if he graduates, he gets to go in the Army, and then he will be out of our hair. Yay! And maybe they can solve his ass.
They'll either make him grow up or
Yeah, exactly.
get into him.
They've suspended PT requirements until 2022 though. The PT testing.
And you can say he's trans.
He'll have to,
Have they really?
yeah. Angry Cops did a great video about it.
They suspended? There are
Yeah.
no physical requirements?
Well, what they're doing is, I mean, they're still putting people through basic, but like what he was saying is, he said, "What's a DI to do?" Because the whole purpose of putting people through basic is basically to get them ready for the physical standards test.
Yeah. Well,
And-
yeah.
And he said, so now we've got them doing all this stuff and getting in shape, and then you're not going to be testing until 2022. What the fuck's the point? It's because of the social distancing and the goofy fears that they've done this.
See, here's the problem. That's amazing to me. I mean, I had not heard that they had suspended
Yeah.
PT in the Army, because here's the problem with the Army. Guys in the Army have to be able to march. You need to be able to march 20 miles in a day. You need to be able to with a pack on. 16 miles, I think, is the standard. 16 miles with a pack. And in order, most kids cannot do that when they first come in. They get that way by the time they have made it through basic training. And the Army and the Marine Corps really stress that. So I don't see how they're going to be able to accomplish their number one mission, which is rendering out a fit soldier, a soldier ready to
For infantry.
Here's what, the infantry guys go from basic training or boot camp to what they call advanced combat training. And that's true in the Marine Corps, and all the Marines and the infantry in the Army go to this advanced combat training. There are two different things. There's one for the Army, one for the Marine Corps. They're slightly different. And that part of the reason you do that right after you come out of basic training is because you're in the best shape of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I graduated officer candidate school, I was in the best shape of my life that I had ever been up to that point. I was in just amazing shape because you just work out like a motherfucker. in addition to, schooling, and you're young, you can get by on 5-6 hours of sleep. And the when they come out and they are ready for this advanced combat training, I remember my son Mike, and he wrote me a letter when he was on ACT out in Yuma, Arizona, out in the desert. You sleep out in the desert. It's nasty, and it's, he said, man, I thought I was in pretty good shape, but this is hard. And Mike is taciturn. He doesn't complain, and for him to say that meant that that's a sign that it's very severely hard. And I don't see how they are going to render a soldier who's capable of carrying.
They won't be moving anybody into.
But I mean, they won't be able to do ACT because it'll be dangerous.
Right. Because so what they're doing is they're going to have this rolling 18-month delay, basically, which is really, really stupid, and almost sounds like it's deliberate. I mean,
I had not heard this.
If you watch that particular Angry Cops video, do be warned that his comment is, "What, are we going to suddenly start competing with the Navy for all the fatties?"
Sorry.
But it was really irritating him, because one of the things that's done with people who refuse to get into shape is to force them to get into shape.
Yeah.
And just it's like programming people to fail. Yeah, it was just like this decision, I think, that the Sergeant Major of the Army made.
All right. This is from military.com. The U.S. Army will conduct a congressionally mandated independent study of the Army Combat Fitness Test, or ACFT, but for now, soldiers will continue to take the more challenging fitness assessment. The fiscal 2021 National Defense Authorization Act, directs the Army to stop units from administering the ACFT until an independent study can be conducted and determine its impact. The Army authorized all soldiers in the active duty, National Guard, and Reserve Force to begin taking the ACFT, a 6-event assessment designed to replace the 3-event Army physical fitness test, on October 1st, 2020. Since then, lawmakers and advocacy groups have criticized the service for launching the ACFT, arguing that it's unfair, it needs more study. Sergeant Major of the Army Michael Grinston told military.com on Wednesday in a statement that Army leadership is aware that soldiers are concerned about the more challenging ACFT, adding that the service has begun working on a plan to address the directive in the NDAA. I doubt that that's coming from the soldiers' asshole.
Yeah.
Those guys, they dig this stuff.
It's coming from their.
So anyway, the Army has not ordered exactly. The Army has not ordered units to stop administering the ACFT. What remains unclear is whether the ACFT, Army Combat Fitness Test scores, will start counting against soldiers after March 2022, something that could be decided by the independent study, Army officials say. So I guarantee it will count against them, even if it doesn't count against them.
But they've suspended it counting against them, so it's still sticking a spoke in the wheels of the DIs.
And look who's behind this. In mid-October, Senators Kirsten Gillibrand and Richard Blumenthal raised concern about whether the test is fair to both men and women, and whether it sets unrealistic requirements for those serving in fields with few physical demands, blah, 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 blah.
Okay. You can be a civilian employee of the Army. I'd like to just point out that if you can't meet the physical standards, you can be a civilian
They need
employee.
admin.
Sure.
Yeah, they do.
It's an important role. That's
Yeah.
the cogs, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Go be a government service.
Absolutely. You can get your
Be a
little
GS.
GSA,
Absolutely.
number, and you can be all happy and say that you're working with the Army.
GS7s make a lot
First,
of
I
money.
got my GEDs, and I got my GSA.
Yeah, but this is just, God damn these people.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, please.
My idea is that the people with the motorized wheelchairs who are in the platoon could carry the extra stuff that the weaker people could.
Is that the Target
Yeah.
battalion?
Yeah.
You know, the
Sort of.
little with the Walmart and Target scooters.
Yeah.
Yes.
What?
That's Operation Rolling Shield.
That's operation.
God.
This is called
Terrible.
the fully expendable unit. Over
You're
here.
Operation-
Just behind the crippies.
Yep. You knew exactly where I was going.
What are
with
those
that.
mobility
Deploy the
scooters
chaff.
called? Those mobility scooters have a stupid name too. It's like Little Rascal or something.
Rascals.
Yeah,
The Rascals,
rascals.
yeah.
Rascals.
Yeah, that's
so
a brand
the-
of scooter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
With a backup,
gets
with a
better.
backup beep, so you can just hear them. They're on their 16-mile hike. Beep beep beep.
No, it's like run away, beep.
One
Somebody's
large
caught in a
stone.
ditch in their rascal.
yeah, you'd hear the Doppler beep 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 as it goes over the cliff.
Now, how do you cadence in a rascal?
Yeah, that's beep beep
Where's a
beep
joystick?
beep 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 beep. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's funny.
And then there's going to be the one person with the artificial voice box, you know,
Yeah.
which is just go.
I don't
Hey
know.
guys,
China-
wait up.
China-
I dropped my
China-
pack again.
China and Russia must just be looking at this and going, "What the fuck
Yeah, thanks
has
for-
happened to this
Thanks for
country?"
the peremptory
Thank you for
surrender.
making it easier. Yeah.
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 And
I
it's
think it's
And-
by design from stupid people like Chillibrand.
yeah, it is. And Blumenthal, who is Blumenthal's a nasty ass piece of work.
He is.
He is
He's
a
an ugly
nasty,
human being.
nasty
I always remember that ugly mug. I never remember his name.
Yeah, he. Both senators from Connecticut are total crap, but he is just.
Well, he's a war hero, right?
Oh yeah, well he tried to claim war hero, and then people
Yeah.
went after him, tried to sue him for stolen valor, and he ducked out of that one. They didn't hold him accountable to it, but he was trying to claim all kinds of credit for his service. You know, and meanwhile,
That he served in Vietnam.
Yeah,
Bullshit.
oh yeah, I mean, right behind John Kerry. You know, he carried the Band-Aids.
Yeah.
Water boy. Oh, water boy.
Yeah, no
I don't
kidding.
doubt that he's been behind John Kerry, but
I think
even
he's
in-
been
perhaps
I think
in a
he's been
serving
under John Kerry.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, are you sure he was behind John
Strikes
Kerry
me
and
as a
not
power
the other way
bottom, yeah.
around?
yeah,
And he could have been the reach around guy. I don't know. But and the funny thing is, one of the things I love about watching Angry Cops videos
Oh, he's great.
is, you catch up on all this fascinating news. But he did one of his coveted pat on the back awards on a story that I had not heard. And I mean, it should have been everywhere in the press. But it was about like 240 people or something like that, and their dogs were rescued by some nasty girls in California during the wildfires. Helicopter pilots went in there. This was an area that was surrounded by flames, so you know what the updrafts were like.
Yeah.
They were basically saying it couldn't be done. The people on the ground said the only reason they knew the helicopter was there is they started hearing it. The visibility was 0. And they went in and got those people out. And I mean, those are the people that deserve the acclaim. Not somebody like Blumenthal who's trying to claim that he was a Vietnam War hero.
Give me the name of one helicopter pilot who drops smoke jumpers into burning
Yeah. you
forest
don't-
fires. Nobody knows their names.
Nobody knows their name. I mean, except
Kobe?
for... Yeah. Oh, no.
The teachers are the real heroes, though. Don't forget.
Yeah. Oh, and, this is a hell of
And the
a
grocery store workers. Don't forget
This-
them.
Well, bless them anyway. But
Yeah, but I mean,
yeah, I know.
they're not defending the country. It's a stark difference,
Yeah, they did kind of have their plastic shields, but the
Yeah.
Did you hear that San Diego teachers are doing in-person education?
What do you
for-
mean in-person
it-
education? What does that mean?
That means you're in the room with the kids.
Oh, okay.
Instead of the virtual shit that they're doing it with illegal kids.
They're doing in-person with illegal kids?
Yeah.
And not with
with regular
Uh-huh.
legal kids.
Uh-huh.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Doesn't that's just everything you need to know about the State of the Union.
State of the
God
onion.
almighty. Yeah.
I really don't think that this is a stable configuration. From like a systems engineering point
The
of
center
view.
cannot hold.
Well, yeah, I am kind of saying that things are so crazy and so imbalanced right now. Systems don't like to have big imbalances like this, and they tend to resolve themselves sometimes. And when people are involved, sometimes it's very cruel. I think that may happen. What I'm The biggest thing I'm concerned about, honestly, all kidding aside, is white backlash. Because when enough white people decide that fuck it, the ethno state is starting to sound pretty good. If you get a significant number of people like that, you will have a problem that will last for a very, very long time.
Yep.
And you'll start having people killing each other.
Yeah.
It will be
don't
a
think
slow
that's gonna
motion
happen.
civil war. I hope it's not. But if the left continues to persecute what it calls whiteness, which is a slimy way of saying we look at white people and we hate them, but this is a way to socially acceptably hate white people, which is what I think it is.
But it's not. Go ahead, Prospero.
Oh, I was going to say the last time a group of people in power decided to other a large group of people, they did not other the majority. They othered a minority or a set of minorities. Yeah, I mean, they othered the Jews, they othered the Roma, they othered the disabled, the homosexuals, and
White people are not the majority in Texas, for example.
Yeah, they're not.
And if they can flip that ethnically across the United States, we really will be a changed country and a very divided one.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know how long. I think Texas would be a little peculiar if you were to see all the Browns go with the POC, if you know what I mean, because there are old families in Texas who are Hispanic who've been there for generations, and they're still primarily Hispanic.
Yep.
But they're not. They're the ones that you'll hear so barking mad about the illegal immigration. Because, I mean, granted, it was 100 years ago or more. Their families did it the legal way, but they're kind of like, excuse me.
Well, I mean, that was going to be my point, Prospero, in that it's not just white people. It's a metaphor for modern Western values. If you hold said values, whether you're black, white, green, purple, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You are now a white supremacist. You now believe that whiteness, this new pejorative, and you then, like you were saying before, you become the other. So your skin color, I don't think really matters that much. And those are the types of people, those legal immigrants from different backgrounds, doesn't matter if they're Indian or Hispanic or whatnot, that thrived in the American semi-free markets, and with all this freedom, they are going to be right there at the chopping block against the dirt poor white people of Appalachia.
Yeah, and I mean the other thing is, I really don't think the Boko Haram, I mean the seriously committed to their form of historical ethnic cleansing, shall we say, are taken as seriously as the press behaves that they are. I think a lot of people are afraid of them. They're afraid of the cancel mob. They're afraid of that culture. But the amount of criticism that you see in critical race theory, the amount of shock and what that you're seeing out of people with like this overreaction to Dr. Seuss and some of these other things indicates to me that the people who voted in the new California curricula, you know, the one where we're going to celebrate child sacrifice gods of the Aztec.
The Aztecs.
I mean, that was voted for unanimously, but those people literally are existing in a bubble. That shit will not fly statewide. They're not mandating it. It's a suggested curricula. And you're going to see a split in the state as to where people use that curricula and where they don't. And that's going, once something like that is put in place, wait, you're probably going to see some really furious parents. You're already seeing furious parents out of demographics that people don't expect to see fury against the lockdowns and what it's doing to their children.
Well, here we've got our government considering making online learning permanent.
Right. Now, how long do you think that prevailing theory will hold up? Because maybe 51% of Toronto is all like, yeah. But 51% of Ontario will not be.
No, it will only be the rural people who will be like, you know what? Screw this. I'm just going to teach my kid myself. Homeschool.
Well, but the putting up with this nonsense out of, well, then we're not going to pay the teachers. I mean, what you're going to do is see people say, fine, then we don't need teachers because we can go to fully online curricula, and you don't need anybody but a few.
One teacher per grade per the entire nation.
Yeah.
Why not?
How about
Might
that?
as well.
And that will be the end of that story, because the teachers' unions would be like, well, wait a minute.
Wait just a
Let's
second.
not be too hasty.
And that's the thing. Somebody needs to get legislation like that moving in Parliament right away and get them to go, whoa. Oh, no, we didn't mean that. Oh yeah, actually, that's what you said.
Well, the opposition right now is busy putting Trudeau on the stand to get testimony about his scandalous behavior over the last 2 decades.
Well, they need to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's where they're putting a lot of their attention. They're not focused too much on the social aspects of it, which is really not of it, but of what you were talking about, which is really a shame, because there's so much going on here as well that needs to be addressed, needs to be quashed right away. And it's not really a partisan issue either, because a lot of the problems here in Ontario, we have a conservative premier, but he's doing everything that the Liberals are doing.
Yeah.
He got into power for quashing that stuff in the school curriculum about, teaching 10-year-olds about gender transvest, all the LGBTQ IITP LMNOP stuff, and then goes, COVID comes and it's just he's just acting like a Democrat. He's acting like a liberal, and constant lockdowns and constant misinformation and constant lying and constant corruption. It's a no-win situation.
Well, look at Boris Johnson. He was elected to talk to Europe, and he and Merkel and Macron just basically made that joint statement saying the world will not be free of COVID until the entire world has been vaccinated.
Yeah.
Which is, we don't want nationalistic viewpoints on vaccination now, do we?
And they have the WHO on board, like we did on Harry's channel, with redefining what herd immunity means.
Every last person in Chad is going to need to be vaccinated before a kid in Des Moines, Iowa can go back to school.
And how much is that going to cost the West?
Well, that's precisely the point. And what they don't understand is if the West begins hemorrhaging wealth, which it already is and will continue to do, what is going to happen to the rest of the world? Their standard of living will drop too. I mean, from whence is derived that rise in global standard of living? It isn't fucking India. It isn't fucking China. You know, it's been the West that has actually improved the lot of the world. Yeah, but we get rich people. Oh, fuck. Christ. Jesus. You know, the jealousy is just nauseating.
Well, how do you think, because they have spending power and then we spread that internationally, what happens when that spending power disappears? Then what are you going to do? Because where are you going to get your fast fashion? Where are you going to get your cheap,
Then the people will have
manufactured-
the money. Then the people will have the money.
What are they going to do with it? Eat it? Because if there's nothing to spend it on,
Yeah.
except cheap Chinese shit, which is going to come with a microchip, you know.
Or people
They'll
to
use it
spend
to
it
buy
with
food
us
for
giving
their
them
children.
cheap drugs. Plenty of doctors who use programs like Doctors Without Borders
Yep.
to spread some of that first world medical knowledge and help people. All that will evaporate, and it'll be a global collapse.
Your next GMO
Millions of
Colonial-
people will die.
Yeah,
do you
your
mean
next
colonial Western medicine, you bigot?
Yeah, colonial Western medicine and colonial Western science that gave us golden bananas and golden rice, and GMOs that can withstand certain common fail conditions in areas. What a surprise. You know, we've got improved nutrition and health, improved standard of living all over the world. And yet people are talking about slave labor at Amazon. And Amazon employee is living at 90% better than most of the people in the world.
You know who complains from the Amazon people? The shitty workers.
Yep.
And
Why,
here's the funnier
DP?
part.
What a handsome, deep voice you have.
Yep.
Hello, how are you?
I think Carlo.
Aloha.
She had to take the little one. He was refusing to sleep.
Yeah, but
Good change of pace.
But this
Have you guys gone? This is all kind of links to the same kind of thing, but I was just wondering about it. You guys ever go to weforum.org /focus?
No.
We forum.
.org /focus.
Let's take a
Everything
look.
you guys are talking about is on this page.
4 ways the private sector can push for gender equality post-pandemic.
Not just that. In the whole In Focus side is the entire World Economic Forum agenda for this year. Racism and racial injustice, which George Floyd's right on the top. Beyond the GDP, the Davos agenda for 2021. Globalization 4.0, the state of trade, Corona. SDIS. Yeah, this is just, it keeps going and going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for people who aren't in the know, they are we is the what I just referred to earlier, the scandals with Trudeau. He's basically laundering money through them to
This
give
is
to
this is the World Economic Forum. This is worse than that.
Oh, I thought that was we.
No, you're thinking of We Charity.
Oh, we
This is affecting all of us. Both of our countries
What?
are involved in this. This is the Davos group.
I thought that was WEF.
No, yeah, weforum.org.
Oh, right. Brain fart.
Way to go, Functional. Bravo.
Well, it's the people that he's filtering money through we to give to Davos.
No, different groups. But yeah, but the Economic Forum is a big problem we're having right now. This is actually what was actually driving it. This and G7.
Well, it's only a
G7's
problem
actually
if you
become
wanna
the biggest. No, the fact is that
Own private property.
our deputy prime minister is on this council at $20,000 a year per seat. And this is the problem. The Davos group is what is, it sounds all conspiracy and behind closed doors and shit, which it is, and it's terrifying. The shit that comes out of any liberal's mouth when it comes to anything linked to this is where you're going to find fucking problems lately. And this is what I've been noticing more and more of.
Well,
It-
the World Economic Forum is based in
Stop.
Cologne in the Geneva canton of Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
It's an international NGO, and its mission is stated, quote, committed to improving the state of the world by engaging business, political, academic, and other leaders of society to shape global, regional, and industry agendas.
Yeah, no national agendas allowed.
Mm.
So, yeah,
one
kinda
world, one
sounds-
government, right?
Yeah, it is very when I hear NGO, international, any international NGO, you kind of substitute NWO, don't you? Because it's, for all the kooky conspiracy theory things, we're almost being told not to believe our lying eyes day after day with some of this nonsense, because it's the lockstep wording. You know how the press, and particularly the U.S. press, they've gotten their talking points because every story has the same wording in it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and all the public statements out of party spokespeople in the government, the left-leaning parties, are all the same.
I keep telling everybody that the most interesting thing to watch is if you watch our governments, the Canadian and U.S. governments, the way that the Liberals and the Democrats are running is they're running hand in hand. Everything that happens up here happens down there within 6 to 8 months. Everything that happens down there happens up here within 6 to 8 months. And it begins with our educational system. If you look at all the weird stuff that's going on, and I actually do challenge it to be with one province and one state that started it, and that was the Wynne government in Ontario.
Yep.
Going and communicating with the Newsom government in California.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Newsom.
That's where she got some of that education plan stuff I was talking about.
It is the Newsom government I'm thinking of, right?
Yeah, Newsom's got
Yeah. 2012, 2013.
that would have been, was it Moonbeam Harry that was governor? In
Right when California started to really go downhill.
20... God, Skep, do you remember when Moonbeam was governor? Last go round.
Oh, I can check very quickly.
Jerry Brown?
Yeah.
That
Jerry.
might be. That's it.
Yeah,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
That's
yes.
Moonbeam. That's Moonbeam.
Yeah. Okay. That's Moonbeam.
Oh, okay. I thought you were. I thought his
I
name
thought it was an
actually,
actual name.
I mean, it's
Moonbeam.
California. I mean, come on.
No. That's Governor Moonbeam.
He
is
was
Right.
the 34th and 39th governor of California. He was in office from January 2011 to
Yep.
January 2019.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It is. Okay. Yeah. My
Followed-
mother always complained about Brown. So.
Yeah, well,
He's Pat Brown's kid.
yeah, sad thing is he's the one the first go round when he was governor. He basically blew up all the dams his dad built to help California with their water conservancy issues. Yeah, and Moonbeam is just
To save the snail darters.
I'm
Yeah.
so happy I got out of California. It is California. I still am glad I got out when it was the fucking governor.
yeah. Well, I mean, at least Schwarzenegger wasn't. Schwarzenegger was not great.
He was a celebrity. We all know a celebrity
Who's the last
politician.
good governor California had? Duke Majan. I mean, you got to go back a ways.
Yeah, before I was really in there, before I knew anything about this politics shit.
Yeah.
But no, I go back to them because there was a time where we were questioning why Wynne was flying down to California all the time. And then they started having this weird independent trade between California and Ontario for carbon.
Oh, weird.
It was this weird fucking thing that started, and I started questioning it. And I'm like, okay, we can just let it go. And it was a
so
downhill
we got a
slope.
bilateral commission instead of the trilateral.
It was weird, the whole thing. And now in our education system, like if you look at the Ontario Teachers Federation, all the stuff you hear from the teachers' problems comes from us. The court stuff is BC. But if you look, a lot of the stuff is similar to what you guys have down there, is what's being switched in, and it's the frog in the pot scenario. We're still in it, and I don't know where else to go on this, because I tend to connect it to that, and it's the fact that I think our governments are working together for some weird, what everybody wants apparently, which is the U.S. to annex Canada, and it's kind of the same thing, but I think it's having to do with a larger grouping of that, and it's kind of terrifying. I don't want this.
Yeah, it's that one world government push.
Fucking hate that shit.
It's terrifying.
Would you like to know more?
That's
No.
equity on a global scale, and like I said before, that will cause the death of hundreds of millions of people.
Certainly isn't going to be a good thing.
I mean, it depends on who you are. If you're somebody who wants to take over half of Africa for mining rights, ow, Jesus, cat.
Your
I think
cat's
you're-
Chinese, apparently.
I was gonna say, does your cat escape from a Chinese restaurant?
Give me a minute.
Oh, God, yeah,
Put
Go
some ice on it, you'll be
Bojangles.
fine.
yeah, oof.
I heard him going off about Doug Ford, and I'm just like, yeah, we're fucked.
Yeah, I mean, at least he's not win, but that's still not good enough.
I was behind Ford.
Me too.
I thought, he could be like his brother without the crack. But
Me too.
I think he needs crack. That might help.
They found like 1,000 kilograms of opium here in February, so maybe he can
In your
borrow
house?
some.
Oh, cool. That's really nice.
Because you should share, Sora. Come on. Why are you holding back? Hold it out on me this entire time.
Only my closest friends get opium.
You got some work to do.
including the person you were hiding in the bathroom from. Here,
We
have a
smoke 'em peace
poppy. Oh my God.
That's what the hippies put in the barrels of their rifles. Love and peace, man.
Yeah, the white poppy crowd. God, I hate those people with a passion unbridled. That it's not as prevalent in Canada, but the
The hell happened to
Dorks.
this world?
The dorks in Great Britain doing the white poppy thing, and it's like, stop it right this second. That is just gross.
On the plus side, at the rate they're dropping the standard, the National Guard will probably just shoot themselves.
Oh God.
Well, they might. That's. I feel sorry though for all those guys that are still trapped in DC.
I see guys that we're in right now. Like I follow. I talk to a whole bunch of the Vet TV guys, and a lot of them they went in when I went in, and they're on their way out now, and they're just happy as fuck to be signing their papers next year.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody happier to get the fuck out
Well,
than half these guys.
did you hear? This is interesting. This is a bit of an adjunct, and I'm not sure that Skep ran into this, but the way I saw it phrased is while the Pentagon basically is staging an assault on Tucker Carlson. Meanwhile, the U.S. Special Operations Command Diversity and Inclusion Officer got reassigned because of social media posts.
Oh, what?
Well, those social media posts, one of them was comparing Trump to Adolf Hitler. This was the person that was chosen to head diversity and inclusion.
The department that shouldn't even fucking exist in the first
To
place.
be perfectly honest,
At
most of the
Special
generals are like
Operations
that,
Command, though. Special Operations Command. Come on.
Apparently, this has been going on. This diversity thing has been a creeping thing for a really long time.
Well, yeah, but I mean, when you have the military openly politicizing itself, where we're going to go question the beliefs, basically, of people who have enlisted You know,
The
this-
purity tests, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
That's
that-
some Stalinist style fucking shit
well,
right
well,
there.
the thing is that an oath is already sworn.
They just re-oath, though. That was a weird thing.
Enlisted men and officers swear oaths. And if you've got an issue and you think they're violating their oath, there's a mechanism in place for that. And it's not spying on your troops. It's not calling them in and asking them if they've got a Jew under the floorboards.
It's not far off.
But that's what it sounds like they were doing. And I mean, we all are familiar with someone who is a military spouse, and the distress that is causing there is extraordinary, because somebody willingly enlists. We're an all-volunteer army, boys and girls, and people are willingly enlisting. And this is the thanks they get. Their loyalty to their nation is being questioned because somebody didn't. I mean, I'm sorry, but sharing a goofy meme is a little bit different than posting a meme comparing the president to Hitler. I mean, that's just a little. Go ahead, Gina Carano got dragged for Holocaust imagery. Except you have somebody serving at Special Operations Command who's bothering to put political memes on their social media. Here's a thought. Don't do that.
There's actually they have an entire social media thing now. There's rules, and a lot of these people are breaking the rules. They're allowed to have social media. They're allowed to talk. You're not allowed to talk about politics in uniform.
Yeah, well, you're serving at the Pentagon.
Yeah,
I guess they're presuming that because they don't have to show up and dress, they're fine. I mean, come on.
I wonder if they think it's supposed to be like a celebrity status now to be in Washington.
Well, I don't know, but the pentagram seems to have lost its mind.
I think that was going downhill 20 years ago.
Well, it always has been a cesspit, but it's, now I am literally calling it pentagram.
When I went to boot camp and I saw that I wasn't allowed to use live ammunition in boot camp, I about lost my fucking mind, and that was in 2002. So,
well, I don't know, man.
The Navy. Okay, so Navy boot camp. Okay, when I went in, we did not have live ammunition in boot camp. We had basically it was a hose that went into a rifle that shot air at a target. Now it's all simulated fire. I've seen a few videos going around from inside the training at boot camp now, and it's like laser tag. I don't. That one baffled me back then. That baffled me back then, shooting with this air rifle shit. I doubt it. When Skep, when you went through, you had live ammo, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't have live ammo. You didn't get live ammo till you were at your stationed, and you were able to go to a range to certify.
We also got real fire when we went to firing. No, I'm dead serious. It wasn't the simulated thing. They actually set the place on fire when you had to put out oil and chemical fires with the stuff, and we had OBAs. We didn't have the nice breathers they have now. We had to wear those fucking OBAs.
Cancer.
Never forget that nice big brick on my chest.
How
I
are
still
you
remember it.
Barbecue.
How are you supposed to foster respect for weapons and people?
I never figured it out.
Yeah.
It was
If
so
you
stupid.
give them air rifles, airsoft guns, that shit
Yeah.
that you buy for your kids, right? Because they're just going to be like, oh yeah, sure, it's This
Oh,
is
it
fun.
was-
Or
it
laser
wasn't-
tags things, you know?
It wasn't that. It was a rifle that had just an air hose, like a, you know how you have an air pressure hose for a compressor.
Yeah, it's
it
like
was
a
it was an
spitball
air
gun.
compressor. Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Okay.
It was worse. It was like
Even
being at a
worse.
fucking carnival.
But yeah, because the moment that, okay, fine, you go through your boot camp and everything, the moment you're holding live ammunition for the first time, that's different. And then, I mean, obviously, I'm sure, I knock on wood, hope that they're smart to understand that, but still, it's why risk it, you know?
I'd be
Just
concerned
call-
with trigger
call the
discipline
herd.
if they were basically using an air gun, okay?
Just call the
That's-
idiots at boot camp by giving them live ammunition, and they just...
It was.
Sora! Well, you're not wrong, but, Jesus God. One of
Nobody
the worst
talks about
stories I
Navy
ever
boot camp.
heard, one of the worst stories I ever heard about weapons handling in the Navy was a guy that was working security in the mall I was working in. And Skep, you're going to appreciate this. Some genius, God, I don't know where they found this guy and why he didn't wash out, but he pulled a pistol back to his face to sight it, to fire it.
Ow.
Want to
And-
see how I want to know how I got
And,
these
and
scars?
he said every single one of us was going, no, don't. As he pulled the trigger, he said he split the skin to his cheekbone. And then was like, oh.
What was he shooting?
It
What ammunition was he shooting?
9mm or
I mean, but you know what?
equivalent.
How big the powder load was?
No. Beyond
You can really hurt yourself.
it being roughly a 9mm. And
Yeah,
he said it would be like my
it's
teaching
probably
you
180.
to shoot a pistol
Yeah.
by holding it up and sighting down the barrel that close. He said it was the scariest and perversely the most funny thing he'd ever seen. Because it was like, okay then. Medic.
So you can lacerate the crap out of yourself.
Assassin is sitting here explaining the entire thing in chat. He's like, the infrared lasers are a system called MILES, the multi-independent laser engagement system.
I can see for miles. I just love the idea of an air hose, you know? I mean, it's kind of like, is this auto shop or is this the military?
So you at least
Well,
had
they wouldn't know
CO2
'cause they've
power. It was
gotten rid of
independent.
Autoshop.
When we had it, we literally had a fucking air compressor hose that we had to maneuver around to hold the freaking rifle. It was so stupid. That still baffles me to this day. The firefighting thing I understood. I was just figuring it was just easier to have the simulated gas. But yeah, it was fucking brutal. No one ever talks about Navy boot camp. You hear the trial and tribulations of Marine and Army boot camp, but you'll never hear about Air Force boot camp, and you'll never hear about fucking Navy boot camp because they are the two biggest pussy boot camps out there.
And you will never ever hear another word, I don't think, about oh God, what is it? Space Force boot camp again. If any of you saw Angry Cop's video on Space Force boot camp,
I want to be
gotta
part
remember.
of
I
Space
gotta
Force.
watch it again.
oh,
Hyde is one of the greatest gifts of YouTube and everything. Like, Jesus.
This was scary. This was actually scary because it was like, it was almost as bad as the guy who, I can't remember whether this was one of his particular stories. I don't know if Skep, if you saw this one, but the dude was basically late to post, and his response to the text he received as to where the fuck are you was YOLO PS5.
Yes, I did see that.
And
Wait, who is this person?
That video was priceless because just watching Angry Cops do the, okay, all right, you're stupid enough to do this, but your response, and he was late for PT, and he was being called into PT because he was a fatty, was YOLO PS5.
You know, that's something that really has changed since I was in. UA, unauthorized absence used to be a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, you would. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just agreeing. Yeah.
Yeah, you could get busted for a very small offense for being 10 minutes late to your watch. You could lose a rate that took you years to attain, and might take you a year to reattain.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot of the strictness has gone out. I was going to ask Pincalo, when you were in boot camp, in Navy boot camp, did you spend any time aboard a Navy ship at sea
During boot camp? Hell
during
no.
boot camp? Okay.
No. You went. If you're talking about the mooring training, no, not a
No. I'm talking about a boot camp. Did you go to sea, out of sight of land and everything?
No, I did not hit. My feet did not hit water until I'd say a year. About a year.
Well, there's nothing wrong with school.
No,
but
it
if you're
wasn't
going
that.
to be in, if you're going to be in the Navy, they have these big gray things that are vitally involved with the mission of the Navy.
Yeah, but you have to wear camouflage.
I don't really understand how you can train a sailor. And when I was in part of boot camp was you spent some time on a ship and you learned what shipboard routine was, and you learned what the expectations were and what to expect.
No,
there were guys who rolled out when they found out, hey, I didn't sign up for this. This is fucked. I don't want this, or I'm scared, or whatever it happened to be. And that was just dandy. I mean, if this is not for you, let's find that out now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what happens is when you're trying, the guys who want retention, they want guys to serve their enlistment successfully so their numbers look good. Those guys have won the recruiting battle, and as a result, they've pretty much pussified, as you say, a lot of the boot camp. They've taken the hard pieces out. They've taken the parts where people.
Skep?
Uh-oh.
I think the dog bit his network cable.
Or his mic cable. And I to what he was saying, I wonder if that's part of why.
Sorry about that.
Oh, there you are. Good.
Anyway, what I think has happened is that the things that were vital for training good sailors and made for success in their careers are gone from boot camp. Boot camp used to serve a very good purpose in that respect. It taught you to be careful, prompt, aware, smart. It taught you what shipboard life was like. It taught you what the expectations were, and it taught you what your life was going to be like for the next 3 years. No, it really.
It was.
It did.
It wasn't when I did.
Well, when were you in?
02.
Okay, I'm
So
talking
20 years ago.
I'm talking about 1974.
Right, but we're talking not even 20 years ago. It was going fucking downhill, as well. But continue.
That's okay. That's all I got to say. I'll shut up.
Well, I wonder if this is part of the intentional, because the same type of people who like this pussification of military are the same people who are like, yeah, defund the police, and oh my god, we spend so much on military. So maybe it's in order to be able to, years down the line, go, look, our Navy is pathetic. We should cut their funding in half. And hey, look, the Army's output is pathetic. We should cut their budget by 2/3. Because they hate the military, they hate police, they hate people.
It's also the blatant disrespect I'm seeing too. That's the other thing. Like, okay, like look at what happened with the two girls and the dude in the car, right? If anybody you saw that footage where the guardsmen were literally just walking past, and the dude's just there, and the guardsmen are just walking past.
Yep. And he's lying on the floor dying.
Like that.
They are more culpable in that murder than Chauvin.
It's not even that. It's I don't understand any of it anymore. I don't understand it up here. I don't understand it down there. I want to move up north and just hide in the woods. Like I want to just go and hide in the woods. Civilization will leave us alone for another 60 years in the middle of northern Ontario.
I'll get a cabin about 20 clicks away. We'll get Starlink up there.
Fuck. But that's what I mean. It's this shit is driving me batshit.
Oh,
You guys can come up. We'll just hide in the woods.
Oh, did you guys see? Speaking of Starlink, and to shift the topic just a little bit, that Elon Musk had tweeted out that if he was ever involved in a major scandal, he wanted it to be called Elongate. I was like, bless him. Absolutely bless him. And the thing is Matt Gaetz had quote tweeted him with, "I claim Gatesgate," and whoever had picked this up said, well, that certainly didn't take long because, of course, it came out today that Matt Gaetz was being investigated by the Justice Department for possibly having an underage girlfriend that he was flying around and doing blah, blah. Now, Gaetz has said that he has been the victim of an extortion scheme. And who the hell knows, because accusations like these keep getting thrown around. And meanwhile, very quietly on the back burner, Ghislaine Maxwell gets charged with sex trafficking. Which apparently the FBI, had opened a file on a lot of that stuff. And then never really pursued it. Back in 2010 or whenever they, 2014, whenever they opened the file.
Notice how nobody's talking about the Swalwell stuff either.
Yeah, and
on the House Intelligence Committee, caught sleeping with a Chinese spy.
Well, we don't know that he did or not. I mean, like that matters. But that, and the fucking FBI apparently got FOIA'd, and they have been changing the status of people who are not on any list and are not supposed to be in a no purchase allowed status. They've been changing their status on the NICS.
Lovely.
So that somebody goes to purchase a weapon and they fill out their little background checky thing and they get doinked because somebody put their name on a list, even though there are no charges against them, there's no suspicion, none of it. They've been targeted for some reason or another.
Guilty, now prove your innocence.
Uh-huh. Oh, God. What? Well, did anybody see what Chelsea Handler said, that why do we even have to have a trial for Derek Chauvin when we saw him murder George Floyd? Wow. And boy, did she get shit slammed for that.
Gad's fucking response was just...
God, about Eichenwald. That, man, when the Mossad got Eichenwald, they took him back to Israel for a trial.
He's still got his fucking... Yeah. Eichmann, the Nazi genocidal murderer, was smuggled out of Argentina by the Mossad to stand trial in Israel. That's because deontological first principles should never be violated. Oh, by the way, I'm Jewish. Your stupidity is a crime against humanity. Fuck you, Chelsea.
I mean, that is just...
Dumb.
This is such a common narrative that we keep seeing on the left, is this guilt until innocence is proven business. And it's like, even the International Human Rights Charter bullshit, like we care, lists innocent until proven guilty as a standard for human rights. God damn. I mean, it's just mind-blowing.
I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, well, I've been saying this for the last decade that it's going to boil to a point where the only recourse is the scenario where we already talked about hundreds of millions of people dying because of equity across the globe, or there will be another violent backlash against this globalist bullshit and the pussification of the masses to the political elite. And that's not going to be pretty either. But I think if those are the only two options, if it gets to a boiling point, I'd rather go with the former or the latter. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'd rather have a violent
I'd rather not
reprisal.
but
better than the global equityization of the world. Like, it's just
equity. You're all equal in death. That's what that comes down to.
But I think people have just
talk about
the common
regressive.
person, Prospero. I think that they've just become too complacent and too like they just don't want to fight for freedom, and they don't realize that freedom is a constant battle. It is not something that is just one day.
No,
it's
you have to
constant.
You have to remain diligent that your freedoms are preserved, and because they're innate, that falls on everyone.
And somebody will always want to take them from you.
Yeah, and the big change is even people don't seem that they're innate. I was going through some Supreme Court cases yesterday because of what West Virginia passed, and I was looking. The West Virginia legislature has. Oh wow, this one is a corker. They passed a bill where basically the state will not participate with any federal enforcement of gun laws that violate West Virginia law. It's actually even a bit more draconian than that. It's teeing up a states' rights battle, which, if it's fought purely on the states' rights as to who gets to do what, it's not going to work for West Virginia, because it could be very much like Arizona, saying that the federal government was failing to enforce immigration laws, so they were going to enforce. That's a little bit different because West Virginia was proactively doing something, but it is.
Well, can't they also just point to the holy document and say, 2A, bitch?
Well, yeah.
You're coming into our state and violating constitutional rights.
If
go fuck yourself.
If the
That's very
law
different
hasn't been tested before the Supreme Court for constitutionality, then the federal government is going to claim primacy. That's going to be the push-pull there.
Right.
Question.
But, yeah.
Am I the only one thinking that there is a problem here going on, that you guys are facing a major states' rights issues in almost every state right now?
We're poised to have several constitutional crises if
Okay, I keep thinking this, and
I mean,
That's
people
just
say
the
I'm
white
wrong.
supremacy talking, Pincalo.
I've been getting told I'm kind of wrong in thinking this, but all I keep seeing is that states' rights are being challenged, and nobody's saying anything to that effect. And I'm like, isn't that what the Civil War was actually over? Was states' rights?
well, yeah.
I don't care about the slavery aspect
No.
of it. That was a side project.
Slavery was the topic. States' rights was the issue. And by adopting the 10th Amendment of the Constitution, of the Bill of Rights to the Constitution, they almost, side by side with the Three-Fifths Compromise, you were almost side by side guaranteed to end up with some kind of conflict. That it devolved to an actual shooting war is not all that surprising. It was almost baked in the cake, unfortunately. If you look at it thematically, at the time they hoped they could avoid that people would be persuaded away from slavery. Because slavery is the topic and the issue, I guess. It would be a better way for me to say it, Pincalo.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
It really it was, even though the Corwin Amendment was hung out there as a possible escape route.
but
There's
I'm just
also
saying,
a way to get the common person on board with your side.
But primarily, what I'm saying is, it was a states' rights thing. It was an argument over whether or not
They could or could not secede.
right. And I'm thinking that right now you guys are facing even worse of a crisis, because instead of a state being able to have its own individuality within the nation, it's now being forced to conform to the nation, which is kind of terrifying to me.
Yeah. Okay.
They're becoming like us.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Worse actually, because we still have a lot of independence in the provincial level.
Well, you have to.
Yeah.
But
Like
you
to
have
welcome the original shroom to the
Hey,
stream.
Shroom.
Toss.
Hey,
So it's
Welcome.
not terms of service?
No, it's not terms of
No.
service.
original
Okay.
shroom.
Nor is it the original series for Star Trek.
What about tickling old scrotums?
Absolutely
But he
not.
is a fun guy.
And I'm about 3 shots into a bottle of Jameson Stout right now.
You should be pretty primed to talk about states' rights.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Yeah. Well, the peculiar thing is, though, you've got to remember that the Bill of Rights initially, the Supreme Court had said, did not apply to the states. It only applied to the federal government. That's the truth, y'all.
Well, now but in that hangs a whole bunch of ambiguity.
In that hangs once the 14th Amendment came into
Right.
play. But
Why
even
then?
then, in the early 20th century, the court continued to argue against that. Hugo Black argued for it, but it was
But
really on.
in law schools, they paint him as an abuser of 14.
Yeah, it's interesting. 14th and 5th, because the arguments used to
Right.
be that the 5th Amendment is what made the Bill of Rights apply to the states. And no. And then the 14th, which actually has come to pass, because the Warren Court in particular, through equal protection, was extending. And it's actually.
What they viewed as equal protection
Yes, what they
was
viewed as-
massive.
Yeah, it was. Now, I don't think having the Bill of Rights apply to the states, even though the first really doesn't, as well as the second and the eighth do. But the having them apply, I don't think is an abuse of federalism. I mean, that's my personal opinion.
Having them apply is not an abuse of federalism. Let me see what I think about that. Okay, so it would be an abuse of federalism to not have them apply. Well, that's not necessarily true. I think I agree with you.
Yeah,
I think I agree with you as far as you go.
as extending innate rights to people.
Yeah.
Because the 2 through 8 really, well, 1.
Trying to figure out whose ox is going to be gored. Who's liable to raise a fuss about this? Somebody will.
Yeah, but interpretively, the Supreme Court has extended the Bill of Rights mainly to the states.
If that happens, it obviates things like the Equal Rights Amendment. It makes them unnecessary
Yeah, it does. It's
because conceivably the 14th would cover that.
right, and that's been my argument against the ERA.
The 14th Amendment, guys, describes the nature of equal protection under the law for people regardless of station or state.
The Fifth Amendment was one of those bugbears, but the Miranda decision basically said that was that Arizona?
Yeah, that was Arizona.
Yeah,
Arizona versus
that,
Miranda.
Yeah, that Arizona had to comply with the Fifth Amendment. That was one of the first. Brown.
Yeah, I think Miranda
Brown.
was a huge extension.
Yeah, and Griswold was.
Yeah, Griswold, obviously. Griswold, they teach that in law school, is the classic extension.
Yep. Of privacy rights extended through the 14th, not through the 4th. It's very bizarre. Griswold v. Connecticut was a birth control case. It's rather quaint to read it now.
But it had tentacles that went all the way down into civil procedure. It affected the way that civil cases proceed.
But it was a very, I mean, if you talk about strict construction, that stayed around until the Warren Court, predominantly, at least as far as the Bill of Rights.
Bill of Rights, yeah.
But oddly enough, the Bill of Rights, by now applying to the states, means the Second Amendment applies to all the states. But the Supreme Court is still doing that very fine line of localities can regulate.
Yeah, the Supreme Court these days, and see what you think about this statement, is making judgments that are so fine. It's such fine tuning that when was the last big, broad decision that affected a whole lot of law that was made by
Heller.
Heller. How long ago was Heller? What year was Heller?
20.
That was about 15 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Heller and McDonald, and
But that's like one or two cases.
Hobby Lobby.
You know,
Kinda.
no, not Hobby Lobby.
not
Hobby
as
Lobby
much.
is fine tuning. That's what I'm talking about.
Obergfell was the
But-
last sweeping.
These are not cases that laymen know about as having changed the way we think about the protections afforded by the Constitution and our laws.
Not like Brown, not
Yeah.
like Miranda, not
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Griswold.
Roe.
Roe. Roe was going to have. I mean, Roe stands on Griswold almost.
Yeah.
It's peculiar.
Roe's pretty good law, actually.
Yeah, it is. It's better than Brown. I mean, and trust me, I don't disagree with Brown. With the outcome of it, I disagree with the.
Note to Susan Wojcicki, we don't disagree with Brown.
Yeah, no. I will explain to you that as a matter of morality and ethics, I agree with Brown. You read the decision, and it's Swedish sociologists say it reads like Obergfell as one of those. Well, I feel.
Yeah. We're
this is the right thing.
we're law nerding. We should probably bring this back.
Well,
to
it's feelings versus
people can relate to.
predicate and reality.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, Brown forced a matter of federalism, a serious matter of federalism. Ask Arkansas.
Well, it certainly became a federal versus state showdown,
Yeah,
and Orville Faubus on the
forced Eisenhower's hand.
with his remember his little axe handle.
God, asshole.
What a prick!
Yeah, he was going to be that resistant. It was ugly. I mean, people think that race relations are bad in this country now.
They have no
They're
idea.
concocted into being bad now. Back then, they were.
The media has sold people on the idea
Horrible.
that things are bad.
I mean, people just don't realize how shitty
Yeah,
Jim Crow really was.
yeah.
Because these people, they've never had adversity in their life.
They also don't study history.
You're not
Well,
wrong. You're not wrong, Functional.
Thank you.
How
Yeah.
can you study history when you're only taught like a
Right.
year, 1 year for every 2 weeks?
And it isn't even that, Pincalo. It's how it's taught.
It's terrible. Like it was horrible when it was horrible then. It's horrible now.
Yeah, I mean, it's too broad.
How
I would rather somebody teach historiography than history in high school.
How abrupt
it might
were
help people.
well, how abrupt were subjects when you were in high school? I'm not trying to say it was forever ago, but you know what I mean. It was longer ago than I.
In my American history class, we were just entering World War I when the school year was over. Because there was, in American history, there was too much to cover. In world history, it was quick fuck me units for AP European history. I mean, now covered a lot more material more quickly were expected to know it in AP European history than in the general class of American history, because it was being taught more like a college survey. You go and do the reading. If my parents had not been born when they were born, I could not have scored what I did on the College Board admission tests in American history, because so much of that test was post World War One, and it was dinner table conversation that led me to be able to answer most of the questions. It had nothing to do with anything in school.
Carlo, now I graduated high school in '78, and my entire senior year, 2 hours a day was American government.
And so was mine. I graduated in 1970.
See, we didn't though. See, for us, because I went to high school in California, it was, we had ninth grade was, we had one topic, world history. Then 10th grade it was American history, and then 11th you go into econ. And I can't remember what the other one was, but it was so quick and basic. I can't remember any of that information whatsoever. Everything I've obtained like afterwards.
Well, I grew up in the People's Republic of Massachusetts for my schooling, so we didn't do American government like that. Nope, not at all.
And up here, what we learned about America was pretty much the Civil War was a thing, and they eventually joined in on World War I and II. That was the extent of our American history in Canada from here
Cold
in
War.
Ontario.
Oh no, and
Cold War.
And don't forget
did Cold
the
War.
railroad. We had the railroad. There was a whole time span, because I was here till grade 8, and then I went down there. Well, like halfway through grade 9. So
I'm specifically
fucking
just talking
weird.
about history.
Yeah,
in
no, that's
high
what I
school.
mean.
Yeah,
But I mean, did you go to a school in the TDSB or?
WRSB.
Okay, so different curriculum.
okay.
Oh,
Anybody remember Canadian history in their American?
exactly. That's the
There's
thing.
some
Our
people that
Canadian
live up
history
there.
sort of ended with the War of 1812.
Yeah, that was pretty much where ours did
Even-
too. And
even
then
like-
they're having those they had those Olympics up there. Yeah, we all remember that.
Oh, the
Yeah.
Big O? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't mean the 1981. And I don't mean any later ones. This was like, well, they did it back and then they did it back and then. Yeah, it was not. I didn't. I mean, it was left to me to know the geography of Canada. It was not taught.
And
Apparently,
you
I
still don't know
the
how
geography
actual
of the
far
United
north
States.
we go. And the thing that nobody knows is how actually far west Canada goes into those islands. Like, we go fucking far.
Pretty far out there, yeah.
We were the
You
first...
can see Russia from your house.
Well, no, we were the first to travel across. Like, they went... Cartier went for the farthest east or west than anybody had ever gone. From coast to coast. It was a farther walk through treacherous fucking swamp-ridden shit territory. Until you get to the prairies, then it was just like, oh look, I can see where I'm going for
Mountains.
like 3 fucking days.
Yeah. Why has it been 3 days and the mountains just haven't gotten any closer? What's going on? Are we in some sort of...
Are we standing
Hell?
still?
If you don't know it, you can see the joke of Saskatchewan is you can see the dog run for 3 fucking days. It's so flat.
Well, yeah. Have you been through Nebraska? I mean,
My-
you could, except the corn gets in the way. You
My
can't see-
dad said
Oh,
when
if
he
the
drove
dog's running
through-
down the interstate, you can see him.
My dad said he thought he was driving downhill. He was driving so long and straight.
Mm-hmm.
He thought he was driving down a hill. He got to, how long's this hill? What hill? Yeah,
there are
it's...
areas of the U.S. West that are. You get that same feeling because you see the mountains for so long, or if you're driving, you see them in your rear view for so long.
Oh, driving the I-5 is like that. California is horrible. That's evil. Same with here.
Except that's not east-west, dear.
Oh,
That's
okay,
north-south.
go. Okay, I'll go east-west. The 402 is exactly an east-west version of the I-5. I'm not fucking kidding.
Yes, but it is not the east-west version of 80, 70, 10,
Or 90. Or 90.
You know,
Drink.
Yeah, maps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
because
driven all of those highways across the United States, every single one of them.
You have.
I
Lucky
really
you.
have.
I did 80. I did 80 from Cheyenne to Cedar. What is it? Council Bluffs.
Council Bluffs, yeah.
Council Bluffs, and then we broke south for St. Joe.
I got.
It was wow. I mean, Nebraska. Holy shit! From Cheyenne to Omaha is one long fucking day. And every bee in the state committed suicide on the windshield. It was
Aw.
unbelievable.
Didn't you have a DVD player in your car, Prospero?
God damn it, Sora.
She had a record player, but it kept skipping.
This was 1986, 1985 or 6, in a
She's lucky she had
Pontiac,
air conditioning.
in a Pontiac Fiero
Oh,
Eight-
never mind.
Probably had an
Back.
8-track.
from
She had to
Newport
wind
Beach, California, to Richmond, Virginia in 10 days with sightseeing.
I've been to both
How
those
did you-
places. Oh my
How
god!
did you get a Fiero? How did what
My
was the
cousin owned a
decision-making process?
Fiero.
So this was your
cousin-
cousin's idea. Okay.
No.
Do you remember
it
the
was-
marketing? They said Fiero, it means proud.
Yeah, no. What I remember is my knees have never been the same. She is a tiny little thing, 5'1", 5'2", that kind of range. I am not a tiny little thing, and Look, we did the Grand Canyon, we did the canyons of the Colorado. It was great. We went through Salt Lake City, went to the Grand Tetons. We saw all the pretty shit up front.
Kingman, Barstow, San Bernardino.
No, we didn't go that way. Well, we did go through Needles. I had to take the picture as we
sorry.
flew by.
It's a cesspit.
I know, on our way to Kingman.
That's where Snoopy's brother is.
Yeah,
That's why I took the picture. Yeah, she wouldn't let us stop for me to take the picture in Utah. The
Aw.
billboard that said 8 miles to Beaver. She didn't appreciate why it was important to me to get that picture.
Here, all you have to do is get on a subway.
Yeah, but it was pretty sad. But that was a long damn drive in a very small car. A lot of fun to drive that car.
Long stretch without much beaver here.
Yeah, but I tell you, in a raging thunderstorm outside of Medicine Bow, Montana, Medicine Bow, Wyoming, when you're
yeah.
on an interstate and you're passing an 18-wheeler and you're looking under the 18-wheeler and you can still see the vista, you realize exactly how low that car is to the ground. I was just like, we're gonna die. It's just, we're gonna die. Crosswind's gonna
fucking
get us, and we're gonna die.
You're going to be a doorstop for a
okay.
bigger car.
You can go under that 18-wheeler. You'll fit.
Well,
Honey,
the front part will. The back half won't.
Yeah,
Didn't say whole, but
mid-engine son of a bitch. It was, it oh God, what a trip. It was
With
amazing,
enough
though.
speed, you
We
could
had
fit
fun.
in anywhere.
I want lobster now. I hate you, Prospero.
giggity.
What the fuck does lobster have to do with an 18-wheeler?
You
and
told me you mentioned Newport Beach, and I want the crab cooker.
Oh, sorry.
I've been craving lobster.
Maybe if
for
I
like a
said
week
Corona
now.
del Mar, you'd have felt better.
I lived in Newport Beach. Well, next to Newport Beach. That's where I was from.
My cousins lived in Corona del Mar up by Fashion Island. The one that's still out there, the lunatic that stayed, he's in Costa Mesa.
Oh, there's a town I know. That was my old stomping ground. I remember the first time I ever heard a shooting was on Baker Street. Oh, there was a Fedco. The Fedco became the first target. I don't know if Fedco was a weird place. That was a weird department store. Okay, I'll shut up now. Got me
Good.
reminiscing about the old days in
Was that a
California.
federal employee department store?
Was that what that was? I don't know. It was Fedco, and then it became Target.
Okay, because there was a store in New England called Gemco or Gem or something like that, and it was government employee particular store. It, kind of interesting though, because they extended it outward to any people employed in companies that had any business whatsoever to do with the federal government. And then they all went the way of the dinosaur for the general department store.
That sounds legitimate. That actually could be it. I don't know, but it makes perfect sense. It really does.
Yeah, it was very strange because my dad worked for Prudential Insurance Company, but we had a membership because the Prudential insured federal employees, government employees of some kind.
Now, you know, the Prudential Insurance provided the insurance for the serviceman's group life and paid the death benefit if somebody got killed. I actually had a guy, I don't know if you remember this. This is back in 1978. And there was a 727 that went down, I believe, in Los Angeles, over Los Angeles. It was just a heartbreaking thing. They collided with a Cessna. And one of our students was aboard there. Guy's name was Lieutenant Tom Maskers. Still remember his name. And I knew him and I knew his wife. They were both students at the Naval Postgraduate School, and she was, I had to pay her the $30,000 when he was killed. And I noticed that it came out of the Prudential appropriations.
Yep, that was probably,
That's associated with Prudential Insurance.
Yep, that was probably how they the membership
Holy
was opened up
crap!
to them.
I'm reading I just found the wiki on it.
On what?
On Flight 182.
Yeah. That was it. That was it.
I've been obsessed with flight logs and NTSB reports since I was a kid.
NTSB was on the fourth floor of the building I was in at the Naval Postgraduate School when I was on staff there for 2 years. And we used to go up and watch them do the postmortems on crashes. It was amazing. And I knew I paid all those guys. They're very friendly with me. And I also paid their travel claims and all that kind of stuff. And I was the assistant controller for the school. And so I used to go up and watch the debriefs on all the plane crashes. It was very interesting stuff. Amazing the way that they research stuff out. It was, it was an interesting thing. The head of the NTSB, when I was there, I got to know him. Kind of became a drinking buddy of mine, and of several of us. We used to go out to dinner there at the O Club there, Harry. And he had a PhD in psychology, and he was a lawyer. He's just a fascinating guy, bright as a penny. And I love talking with him.
Sorry, O Club, Officers Club?
Yeah, Officers Club, yeah.
Okay.
It's a very nice room.
It is. It is very nice.
This flight log is fucked.
The
Did he try to draw a penis in the air?
No.
No, I'm reading. Sorry, I'm reading the.
I know I'm teasing you.
No, I'm reading the chat between Tower and all the planes and everything. It's fuck.
I'm just surprised you guys haven't mentioned Tim Hortons with this many Canadians here.
Fuck Tim Hortons. That place sucks.
Yep.
It's not even Canadian. It's Brazilian. Same as Burger King. Yeah, the company that owns Burger King owns it. Has for 6 years.
Tim Horton. That sounds very Portuguese.
He was a very French hockey player.
Tim Horton.
But he wasn't. Oh no!
I'm going to score some goals tonight,
great.
and I'm going to score.
That was a moment. That was a
Tim
moment.
Horton.
Hold on. You see, there was. You see, Tim Horton. He had this friend. His name was Rocket Richard. Rocket Richard was the greatest forward that ever was.
Yes, we know about Rocket Richard. Well, those of us who are old enough know.
Yeah.
See, we were brainwashed as children with this thing called Canadian Heritage Minutes.
Oh, they're beautiful. I
Those were
love Canadian
awesome.
Heritage Minutes.
House hippos. I'm on board.
That was the coolest thing. That the House Hippos thing. And okay, we'll let the secret out. It was an be aware of false news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marketing
Question
campaign.
everything.
And
That was the whole point.
It was crazy, and it worked. Except they took it away, and now we have really dumb Tide Pod eaters.
Yeah.
This is how you get Tide Pod eaters. You take away the hippos.
You take away the house hippos, and you take away the log rider, and you take away the cat came back.
The Log Rider's
Rider.
Waltz is like one of my favorite cartoons of all time. It is and the song, oh, it's beautiful. That's all by the Manitoba Animation or Film Society or something like that. God, those shorts were amazing.
CanCon was is a requirement here. We must have
And now
set stuff.
we teach our kids about Ta-Nehisi coats and
how we're on stolen
Gender.
land.
and we're all evil because
Every
we
morning,
live on
okay.
stolen land.
Every morning, the schools give out their announcements. You know, schools do morning announcements, and they
We
have it
acknowledge we
where-
are on unceded blank land.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever tribe was formerly here, even though the tribe that was here was actually wiped out by another tribe.
Oh, that same shit. I have tripped over this 3 times on Twitter, which means it's a talking point that's being pumped out there. Mount Rushmore was trending real briefly today on Twitter.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, and it was all about how it's Lakota land and it's been spoiled and it should be taken back. And somebody responded and said, y'all wiped out the motherfuckers that had the land before the Lakota. And that irked the people who were trying to hold their claim that it was all stolen. And then another guy came along and said, oh, for Christ's sake, South Dakota was purchased by the United States government in the Louisiana Purchase. Calm down. and
This
then
goes.
They finally got the guy who came in and said, it's called war. We won. Get used to it. And I was like, well, this is going well. But I tripped over those same talking points about it all being stolen land. And what's really perverse is yesterday I came across a story where the thrust of the story was talking about crossing the Asiatics crossing the Bering Strait being how human habitation in North America occurred is now getting a lot of pushback because apparently it's getting in the way of all the beautiful, noble, savage creation myths. So paleogenetics is now supremacy. Let that marinate for just a minute. That the irrefutable
Sure.
anthropological notions are now.
No. Prospero, the main anthropologists were all old white men who obviously created those bones and planted there to be found by them during the dig.
Well, the best one I saw was that Asians are really black.
Yeah,
What the fuck?
Must have been a
Because
hotel.
all life rose from Africa.
Oh yeah. And then yeah. Yeah.
We were all Kangs, except for Whitey because they diverged somehow. Now, okay, I'm sorry, but it's not like the Neanderthal won. You know, it's just.
No, the Mongoloid technically.
Well, I mean,
won.
looking at today's culture, you begin to doubt that.
I know, but and actually, COVID has been particularly hard for people with Neanderthal DNA,
Yep.
which I thought was a very interesting.
That's why us Mongoloids are much stronger.
Yeah.
We are the superior. Whoops, can't say that.
I thought you were Portuguese.
Armenian as well.
Portuguese, Armenian, and Mongoloid. Well, or something. Yeah. You're
See,
a mutt.
okay.
You're a mutt, just like the rest of us.
Yeah.
This is gonna sound
Yeah.
terrible.
My
I
cardiologist.
actually do want to do an ancestry test. I really do, but I don't because that requires me to send my DNA to
Yeah,
someone.
no.
And I'm
you-
like,
Yeah. Hang on just a second. Skep, yes?
Huh?
No, you started to say something.
Oh yeah. My cardiologist is a Mongol.
Little,
She is the and she is a full-blooded Mongol. So she's a skinny Chinese lady, very skinny Chinese lady, and she is 6'3".
wow.
She is 6'3".
What?
Yeah, there are a lot of Mongols who are actually quite tall, and she's from a part of her family comes from a part of Mongolia where they run too tall. And she says, "You think I'm tall? I've got two brothers who are serious basketball players, and they're almost seven. They're almost 7 feet tall.
Jesus.
And she's this big, skinny drink of water who speaks about 5 languages, and she's a medical doctor, cardiologist.
Yeah, isn't it interesting?
Awesome.
I mean, I think paleogenetics is fascinating, and it should be the great leveling ground.
Oh yeah,
But now,
there's a narrative.
well, now there's a narrative, and now that if you're interfering with the creation myths of the original peoples of the North American continent, I'm like, you guys are going to convert. I mean, you are going to converge with the Mormons in a minute if you're not careful.
The Mormons.
But you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like suddenly you're going to be the 13th tribe that was somewhere in, outside of Scanty Atlas, New York, or something where somebody dug up an Etch-a-Sketch and went, oh, look, tablets. And
You just kind of keyed an interesting idea. I wonder if by marrying within the faith, if Mormons are beginning to select certain traits,
that would be,
select for certain traits.
very interesting.
Like blondness.
Like
Yeah,
blondness.
yeah.
Blondness and
They have a lot of converts, though, that may have been making more heterogeneous. I don't know. But
Now,
yeah.
Prospero, you got to remember the Hopewell Indian tribes are supposed to be the lost Israelites.
the Hopewells. My
Hopewells.
my senior thesis advisor was Stu Strever, the guy who wrote the book on the Hopewell culture, and he was Northwestern University anthropologist, archaeologist deluxe. I mean, he's just a tremendous man, and that is just the most bizarre thing. When I heard that someone say that that they were supposedly a tribe of Israel, you could not be more different than the Hopewells.
Mm-hmm.
Hopewells are vaguely Asiatic and are, genetically as far removed from the Levant just about as it's possible to get.
And no trace marker to Ashkenazi.
Yeah, no, not. There's no Tay socks.
Yeah.
Nobody's
It's like that's what makes paleo, to me, that makes genetics fascinating. Because I consider it the great leveler. It's like all of life rose out of Africa, all of Homo erectus, Neanderthal, everything. But although there's no Neanderthal in Africa, by and large, genetically.
Yeah, just in the very, very north.
Very,
eastern
very
part,
north.
very
So
northeastern.
that kind of supports the great ape movement and then multiphasic divergence.
Yeah, basically what she's saying, boys and girls, is that the Australopithecines evolved out in the area of Olduvai Gorge in the Great Rift in Africa. And there was a bunch of pushing and shoving and backing and forthing. And but that's where people came from.
And spreading. And then
And a lot of
diverging.
spreading and then coming back from
Yes.
other places. And that's the thing that throws people. And the problem is that the movements that are, 5,000 years old are very easy to trace. We are very good at tracing out like movements of the Jewish people back 3,000-4,000 years ago in the Levant. When you get to 10,000 years ago, when you get back into the late Neolithic, that's a real challenge to figure out who was doing the moving, where and when, because just too much shit has been moved around. And too much stuff got appropriated and moved over yonder. And Billy Bob came upon a trove of, some implements that were, 10,000 years old and found them useful. And so they moved them over here, and that confuses you more. It's really...
Well, it's like the swastika.
Don't get me started about the swastika.
But how peculiar it is in that it shows up in multiple places.
Yes.
Because people take their implements with them. They take their vessels with them.
Their stories.
They take their stories and their symbols with them.
Yeah.
And so a group of people move somewhere and they're used to throwing pottery that uses certain symbols on it. They throw pots there.
And somebody from the region's like, hey, I like that. That looks cool. And they adopt it and incorporate it into their...
And then,
Plus, the Hindus went everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Highly nomadic.
the Indic languages go all the way into Europe.
Oh, yeah.
And so they brought with them this, that's, and the others. And then, as you said, people left, people came back. They left, their culture diverged some. It developed new symbols, new mythologies, and then it came back, and then part and parcel may be absorbed in with the old ways. We know rough movements. Beyond that, not a lot. But paleogenetics tells its own story. It's like that whole, what do they call it, Beringia?
Yeah, yes.
The passage through the Bering Strait.
Right.
I'm sorry, but the Iroquois weren't dumped off the back of a turtle into the middle of New York. As nice as it might be now, it generally isn't the Eastern tribes that are as annoyed with having their creation myths be called creation myths. It seems to be still a great deal of the Western portion of the
here.
indigenous people. They get pissy about it, just like the people still pushing the Rushmore is Lakota land. Well, somebody was there before you came. Same thing happened in Canada. Entire tribes were wiped out, or almost entirely wiped out.
People don't realize
years before Whitey
Paiutes
ever set
and
foot on the...
Yeah.
No, the Indians, feather not dot, used to fight each other quite a bit, even within a nation. You would find Oneidas fighting Mohawks.
Yep.
The Oneidas basically fought everybody, but
Well, the Iroquois Confederacy was put together to cut that out.
right, and it didn't. They still
Nope.
fought each other. They still even allied on different sides of the revolution, with the Oneidas generally allying with George Washington's folks, and the rest of the Iroquois. I used to know this. I used to know this cold. These two other major tribes that you would know
The
if I could remember.
Onondaga,
No. More common names than that.
Mohican,
Nope.
Mohawk,
No, they're
Tuscarora.
Mohawk is one. Yeah, allied with the British, and you would see Oneidans fighting Mohawks in as part of a revolutionary battle. It happened all the time in New York State.
Yeah,
You telling me them Indians are just like everybody else?
Yeah, they're just guys. They're just guys.
It's absolutely amazing how people's alliances will shift and change like that. It's, to endow this group of people that were living, yes, significantly more primitive than European culture had seen up until that time.
So we learned about the natives up here fighting the shit out of each other from the natives. It was kind of cool. Did you guys ever go to camps like the functional? Oh, you went because it was like a whole thing we had.
Asking functional if he went to a camp could have a different meaning here.
I still have these tattoos on my arm. I can apparently those can be used for my vaccine passport.
Yeah. In Ontario, every kid goes to 3 places. You go to Storytime Village. Yes. You go to the old prairie time, like the weird farm, and then you all go to what the hell is the place we were just talking about? Fucking the native place, the Six Nations. Every kid goes to the Six Nations field trip, and you learn about how all the shit that happened to them. You learn to walk like a native.
You do kind of get to walk in their shoes for a little bit, but like you were saying, they educate you, or at least back when we went, on the reality of the time, and that there were many different tribes. Some were completely obliterated, some were assimilated, some fought against each other, some fought against the settlers, some joined the settlers and thrived. Like there was it's not stuff that they would even dare to teach today, which is entirely sad. In fact, the second one you were talking about is Pioneer Village.
That's the one.
It's basically old-timey settler life in the middle of Toronto.
Yeah.
Like it's a preserved piece of history. My mother, when she was 13, 14, was riding her bike and discovered one of the schoolhouses that is now in Pioneer Village, while her and her girlfriend were just, riding their bikes through the wilderness of northern Toronto. It's incredible how much the city has grown in such a short time.
Oh, poor Elwyn. They went to Pioneer Village and that was it. Oh.
We had Fort Langley. I mean, it still exists. That was a lot of fun. We got a pan for gold, eat old-timey candy, and carry, I think it was like 10 kilos on your back to see how much the settlers would have to carry to move to the fort.
Shucking corn by hand.
We even had one trip
Shucking corn by
in Kala where it was
come on, I did that growing up.
It was a three-day trip to...
I still shuck corn, buddy.
A 3-day trip to northwestern Quebec to learn about how the Acadians dealt with early life in Canada versus the Brits, the British settlers from Ontario.
They left.
Yeah, did you have to memorize Evangeline?
they fucking left.
Speaking of leave, I need to leave.
Oh no!
Oh, Harry, do you have anything?
But I will be
any bombos to share with us? Okay.
No. There's really not much going on. My big accomplishment today was taking all of my computer crap outside and setting it up under a nice umbrella. I had my cup of tea and I just worked outside today, and it was so nice not to be inside all the damn time. But it was just one of those days that almost makes California real estate prices worth it. Almost.
Yeah.
Move to Idaho, you'll save so much more.
Oh, I'm sure I will. Anyway, I'll probably be online tomorrow and Thursday, and it looks like I might actually be hosting Sunday. So we'll see how that turns out, because I like to do a special show. It might be a book stream.
Excellent.
It could be a book stream. So we'll see what ends up happening.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah. Good night.
Thank you for joining us, Harry. We'll see you in a bit, Harry.
Goodbye, sir.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, the failure of people to recognize tribalism as tribalism.
Okay,
part of the
before you
human
continue,
condition.
Assassin of the Gray. This is a bunch of like third graders. I don't think they're gonna put 90 pounds and make them run. Like,
Yeah,
You weren't the fat kid.
little kids that you have to
I was the
scale
fat
it.
little kid. They made me do that shit. Here, have this. Here, carry this giant fucking bucket of water. Fuck you!
Oh, for us it was the sap
Sorry
from the
for
maple
saying.
trees. Here, carry this bucket. 6-year-old you. What?
Hey, but admit it, we all know how to tap maple syrup.
I
Yep,
don't.
Yep, and boil it down into actual syrup and to the various applications of it.
And the fact that it's $40 a gallon.
Maple
Oh, yeah.
spread.
Mennonites are
Liquid gold.
the Mennonites are rapists. I'm not fucking kidding on that.
Like,
No, they're on the side of the road like right now because it's springtime, so they just tapped all the trees. Right, like you've got it is a $1 billion industry.
Raping Mennonites.
$40 for 4 liters of maple syrup.
They build RVs here. They rape people for maple syrup up there.
Oh fuck
That's
yeah,
just-
maple syrup and cheese.
A part of my survival
It's
training
built
was
from
tapping them
furniture where
for.
I'm from.
I'm sorry, Shroom. What, honey?
It's quilts and furniture where I'm from.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's bread, butter,
chickens.
quilts,
What
and
percent?
eggs. Yeah, in Virginia.
What percent of maple syrup do you think comes from Canada? This blows me away.
Your brain, yeah,
20%?
it's
85%
from
maple
Richelieu
syrup.
Valley.
comes from Canada. I had no idea. That really blew me away.
Every tree around here, like no matter what, it's really funny. If you go, no matter what neighborhood you drive in, middle
Oh,
of
even the
city,
pine
everywhere,
trees produce maple syrup.
It's gross,
in
though.
Canada, I heard.
It's disgusting.
So do we. Me and Pankala, we bleed that stuff.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, you just tap a guy. Anyway, guys, it's getting close to 2 hours, so we're going to send it around the horn. It's been a great stream, and I will start with Pincalo. Final words. Shillage also
Oh yeah, we got the new
got the new cup.
we got the new mug in. It's really nice, actually. I really like it. I will put up a video. I will put
Has
the
Blind
TikTok.
Press's eyes on it, guys.
Yeah, I will put up the video on Twitter on my account from my TikTok that I did for it. She's got her show tomorrow with Functional. I do have a short up from an astronomy video that's about to crack 1,000 views, so go check that one out. I'm actually kind of trying to make content. I'm working on a review for a movie. Yeah, I'm actually scripting it and everything, and my brain hurts because I gotta watch it again, and I don't know if I can take that much Ryan Reynolds.
Your movie.
It's called Six Underground.
Oh, right. You were telling me about that. Yes, yes.
It's all I can say about it is it's every Ryan Reynolds character ever in one weird movie. Yeah, it's
Well,
it's like
we'll be looking for that.
oh, that's
And,
gonna be weeks away.
We appreciate having you here tonight.
Sorry, I crashed it, but I'm like,
no.
what?
It's you're pinch hitting. That's all.
I'm
And
just bored.
send it to Shroom. Any final words for us this evening?
Your debut.
And your
My
debut
debut. Okay, what sort of fitting for what's going on here in the world today is in the general course of human nature, a power over a man's substance amounts to the power over his will.
Well said. Nicely said. I couldn't.
That
agree
was
more.
Alexander Hamilton.
It was. It certainly was.
The new
And
Hispanic one?
We'll send it to Dr. Functional.
He who cannot put his thoughts on ice should not enter into the heat of dispute.
No doubt about it. And keep a cool tool and don't light your meatloaf. Sora. Sora.
Trying to recover from don't let your meat loaf.
Have a good night. I'm sorry, I don't have I did not prepare a quippy quote tonight.
That's absolutely fine. Let's see. My wing woman Prospero.
Yeah.
Final words.
Don't be Chelsea Handler.
Amen.
Oh, that's good
Chelsea
advice.
Handler shouldn't even be Chelsea Handler. Fuck her.
No, yeah.
No, thank you.
No, not with
Yeah.
a borrowed dick off a dead body.
In the ass.
And
Okay.
Pucks,
Not with Jake Tappers.
All right. I'm going to close with this. And first of all, I want to thank you, chat, for coming out and listening to us. We do this for you in addition to it just being a lot of fun. I want to thank my panel. Thank all you guys for coming out and spending 2 hours with
Thank
me.
you.
And I will remind you that something that George Bernard Shaw said. He said, progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. That's going to do it for us tonight, guys. The zoo is closed. Good night.
Good
Bye-bye.